Hello, welcome to the Ngozi Cadmus channel where we talk everything social commentary, and there I'm going to work on my intro very soon. I wanted to get straight into it. I know you guys have missed me. You have sorely missed me. I wanted to review something that is making its rounds. I don't know how viral it is, but I did see this on Instagram and I was like, so what? No, I saw it and I just felt, okay, maybe it's something that I can reflect on. Interestingly enough, the two topics I'm going to talk about have a similar theme. And you don't always realize it, when you're doing it. I just realized it in this moment. I was like, oh, it has a similar theme. So we are going to review Grant Cardone. And for anyone who don't know who Grant Cardone is, he's a multi-millionaire businessman in America. And I guess he sells coaches, from what I understand, to individuals to help them level up in their finances, right? Nothing wrong with that, I don't think. I don't believe overall, I don't believe it's wrong in that concept. There's obviously lots of unethical practices that happen in the coaching industry, but that's not what I'm talking about today. I am actually talking about something that he said that piqued my interest, and I kind of wonder what all of you that will be watching also think, and not only what you think as a community, as a Black population across the world. When you hear that, what's your initial thought? So let's start playing. We're gonna start playing, and I will.
Way you can stop them because you're competing with all this other stuff, right?
Yeah, that's true. They want to stop and look at it as they're scrolling through.
Well, that's all people are doing. They're doing this. If you just watch yourself move through it, you're just moving through it. So if you don't stop, I never really got your attention. So for us, about half my audience is Black under the age of 40. How did a white guy
So half his audience is Black under the age of 40. So he's saying, how did someone like him, who's a white guy, kind of relate with, I guess, a large, well, if he's saying over half, that means he's saying the majority of his audience, majority of the people giving him money to teach him, to be taught on how to grow financially and to make money and to create financial independence and bring additional income is Black. Which doesn't go on to say if it's like male and female in terms of the proportion of that. But he's basically saying, because majority could be 51%, right? From 51% is the majority. So it could be just about and then just an inch, or it could be 55, 60, 70, 80. I don't know if it's 80 or 90, but he said the majority. So we don't know the exact percentage. What we do know is that he's saying 51% or more of his audience that he teaches how to generate wealth are Black. And he's saying, how can a white man like myself attract a Black audience, right? So that's a good question. How can somebody who is of a different race attract a Black audience? Well, how does someone, are we saying that only in situations like this, for example, in terms of learning, understanding money and financial literacy, that Black people will tend to only go to another Black person? Do we think that? I think there's truth in that element, but I think it does depend. You have a lot of Black people who would not go to a Black person if they're teaching them money. Like, you would have to be showing inordinate amounts of wealth before a Black person probably sees and says, I'm going to trust you. I'm saying there's a pocket of people that do believe that. They would rather go to a white person talking about money and finances because there's a belief that white people do better in money. So why would they go to a Black person? There's a belief, even amongst our own people, that Black people are more likely to be crooks, bad customer service. All of the critiques that are normally hedged towards Black people, in the diaspora and in the continent, interestingly enough, you will find that there would be a pockets of people that would be like, if a Black person and a white person were saying the same thing, they would edge towards the white person. For those asking, yes, I'm cold. I don't know what, for whatever reason today it's cold. Like the weather in the UK, or let's say London, is just confusing. So I'm actually really, really cold. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to use my wraparound just to protect me. then you've also got a pocket of people, and this is where I say I don't know what the percentage is. I don't know if there's more people, more black people that are more likely to prefer or lean towards a non-black person teaching them about wealth. I'm speaking specifically on wealth, okay? Because there are other instances, like maybe in therapy, where you might have a situation that there's a majority of black people, not all, but majority of black people would rather have somebody who shares their cultural or racial a similarity. And then there's also a percentage of people that don't really care, or sometimes actually don't want somebody that comes from the same race or racial background, right? Different because of the sensitivity of it, but financially sensitive. I was speaking to a financial advisor today, and she said, that some people do prefer to talk to somebody of their own race because you understand certain things. So even within this area, as somebody who, for example, has had numerous amount of coaches and mentors and spent grand upon grands on coaching, I've had black coaches and white coaches, and I sought out. Let me not say I sought out black coaches, but when I saw or met these black coaches, I wanted to work with them because they were black women. They were black women in London. I just, I didn't want to work with an American coach because I just think it was just different culture. Americans will love you. I love you, but you're different. Yeah. So all my coaches have been UK based, though I've had one mindset coach who's American. And then, yeah, I feel like I want to be understood. I wanted, I have a coach who's of say faith with me, so it helps. So when I'm talking about I'm praying, I'm saying God's giving me a strategy, the person isn't looking at me confused or saying, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be talking about that because this is a bit woo. I don't really know what we're talking about. Whereas, you might have a person who can confirm and affirm or say like, yeah, I really hear you. I feel the Lord is saying the same thing for you too. So there is something about having somebody who understands, so you don't feel like you have to overly justify certain things or certain decisions because it's understood. So if I had a black financial advisor or in a situation like this, for example, and I'm explaining how, not in all, but in a lot of black households, of African descent and Caribbean potentially, and this could be similar in African American, unfortunately, because of many circumstances, we are kind of like our parents' pension, meaning that we are trying to make sure they're good. Yeah. And then trying to make sure our future, our posterity is good, right? And this is not to say all white people are getting inheritance, but you would find in other cultures, your focus isn't trying to make your parents good. The focus is trying to just get okay yourself, and your parents are trying to leave you an inheritance or have left you an inheritance, right? Again, I'm not generalizing. I'm saying that there is that we can. There's a lot of us that can agree to that. And some say, no, that's not my experience. My mum, is leaving an inheritance for me. We get that, right? But generally speaking, so what that means is that if I was with a financial advisor and I'm speaking to the advisor, they may not understand my responsibility towards my family. They'll be like, why don't you just stop paying for this? Or why is it on your credit card or why is it on your debit card that you're sending 250 to Nigeria? Like, I don't understand. Who is these people? Whether another person, a black person, or even a person of maybe African descent will understand, right? Will understand, okay, I get the cultural attachments and ties that you have and commitments that you have. So it's like, okay, how can you navigate this despite that attachment? You can't break that because then that's going to, leave this person, all of these different complicated things we have in families, right? You might still have to, because not every black person, say not every skin folk is folk or whatever. What's the thing? Anyways, the point is that not everyone's going to agree, even from the same racial background. But the point is, you would hope that there'll be more understanding and there is likely to be less resistance in that particular area, or maybe more understanding and seeing how we can navigate it rather than saying, why do you do that? Questioning that. All right. So I think it's just important to mention that. Welcome. For those that are joining, we are talking about Grant Cardone. Put a like in the chat, put some comments, like, share, and subscribe. As they say, it is free. It does not cost you anything, just the extra second in your life. So let's go back to the video. Let's go back to the video. Let's go back. One thing I really find interesting is how like 10, 20 seconds can really ensue with a conversation, right? That look at that. Who would have thought that that would have just created 8 minutes of flow of conversation? And I'm only really showing you just maximum a minute clip. Just thought it was interesting to say, and I think it's really important. I've watched the whole thing, mind you, because I don't want to talk about a clip in its isolation. But I'm talking about the clip specifically. But I've watched it because you know what happened is that people take a viral clip on TikTok, Instagram, a short form of a long term. I really think we have to be very careful to cast judgment on short form content without understanding the wider context. I'm saying you've got to always watch the whole video, because sometimes you only want to focus on one part, on what they literally said. But it's sometimes good to find context, because you can be talking out of your left eyeball.
Attract an audience. Like if I'm out in public and I see a 55-year-old white man or a 25-year-old black kid, the black kid knows who I am. There's like,
wow.
there's a 10 times better chance, 10x, that the black kid knows me. Now, the reason is because we go after that audience and we're talking to them in very street terms, if you will, very, not big nomenclature, vocabularies, you know, we just keep everything very tight and simple. And at the same time.
Okay, so you saw that, yeah? You saw what he said. Do you want me to play that again? I don't know. Do you want me to play that again? Because you might have missed it. Yeah. Yeah, and that just didn't make sense that he used a word that I just thought. I'm not. No, he said nomenclature. Clutcher. Sorry, he said nomenclature. The names or terms come. I don't know. It didn't make sense when he said that. But let's go back a bit. Oh, I always forget I got to present the thing, right? I'm getting used to it. Let's go.
Now, the reason is because we go after that audience and we're talking to them in very street terms, if you will, very, not big nomenclature, vocabularies, you know, we just keep everything very tight and simple. And at the same time, we've had, you know, raised $1 billion in the last 3 years.
So he talked about, you know, he goes after that audience. So what he's saying is that if your business, right, you understand what it means to go after an audience. Yeah, you're targeting a group of people. So when I've targeted people, I've targeted Black or Asian people because I've got a business that predominantly is in service to Black and Asian people. So if I'm targeting that in the UK, for example, I'm trying to figure out what typically, you know, are Black and Asian people between, let's say, 25 and 34 doing, right? What are they watching? Are they liking Oprah? Yes, Oprah's liked by all races, but yeah, they probably like Oprah. They might like, and because Oprah's quite deep, you know, what's her name? Yvonne Magant, right? Because she, you know, is pseudo-spiritual, therapeutic. If I'm trying to target maybe Black people in entrepreneurship, they might like Stephen Bartlett, Maria Foley, Grant Cardone. You know, he's actually a name on the target list on Facebook, because people that are probably liking his content are into wealth and financial making, and, you know, essentially making money online. Right, so there's nothing wrong with targeting. There was no issue when he said he goes after black people. It's like, well, yeah, okay. If you're seeing that the majority of your audience is Black, then you're going to go after them, right? Makes sense. That's what I do now as I speak about Black issues, Black women issues. I am Black, so there isn't that sense of a white man going after a Black group. You know, I'm going after the people that look like me. But I'm doubling down in the content that people are liking. If I'm doing things on, let's say, Black women in leadership, Black mental health, I don't know, Black something else, and people like Black leadership, Black mental health, I'm going to focus on that, right? You double down on what your audience is saying that they like. You're doubling down on the demand. You're providing the supply, and the demand is on that supply. But the bit that I don't know, something is off in the buttermilk, as they say. The bit that I was very unsure of, and I wasn't offended, me It takes a lot to offend me. I think I only get offended if you come at Jesus Christ. If you come at my Lord and Savior, I don't really get offended at a lot of things anymore because I've learned to have tough skin, and I've learned that people have got issues. So if people are talking about black people, it's just not nice to hear it. I think it will be offensive if you're coming to me and you're speaking to me like you black dark skinned girl. But so I wasn't offended what you said. Yeah, it was nothing for me to be offended. I didn't sit there and write a comment. I didn't say anything. I'm not doing all of that. But I found it quite interesting and quite perturbing that this was just said quite candidly, which is good because it's good to know out of the mouth we reveal ourselves, whatever scripture is. But, from your fruits, from what they say, we can determine what is being said. I like people that are direct. Tell me how you feel. If you don't like me, let me know, right? I think just recently, the head of a particular luxury brand said, look, I only want rich people to shop. Fair enough. Like, tell me exactly what it is that you want. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you hear, like, comment. Please comment, please. I'm lonely. I'm joking. We're talking about Grant Cardone. He basically, just for those that have joined in, he basically did a video with Lara Trump or whatever her name is. And of course, just talking about, his successes. And he was talking about the demographic of people that make up majority of his clients, his customers, and they are black. And he was just trying to say someone like him who's white, and probably has predominantly white friends, maybe, or grew up in that white culture, or his type of white culture, because obviously different parts of America will have different types of kind of white culture, whatever that means for them. He attracts a majority black audience. So he's saying how he gets that, how he goes after them, right? To me, there's nothing wrong with him going after the demand that happens to be at his table. If the predominantly all his participants or customers were white, then you're going to go after white people. Fair enough. If they're Hispanic, then fair enough. Whatever. The issue that I had is how he described how he attracts them. It's his attractor that I think that we should be concerned with, right? And it just, to me, and obviously talking about predominantly American audience, but let's not lie. When you look at statistics, similar stereotypes towards African Americans is the same put in the UK, black. So it is what it is. So though he's talking about America, though there'll be a proportion of people from the UK and worldwide, to me, it's all black people. So basically what he's saying is that he does not use big languages. He uses street language. So this is where it's like, maybe he meant he used non-jargon, right? So but when you say street, both in the UK, both probably in the Western world, right? If you say street urban, you know what you're referencing. You're referencing predominantly black people, and the assumption behind that is you're saying that people that don't speak good English, that can't speak good English, that have to speak slang, that have to speak ebonics, that has to speak pidgin, right? The idea and what is seen even in Africa, for example, English or the colonial language is the highest type of lexicon to speak. Anything other than that is beneath. Everyone can speak it, well, not everyone, people can speak it, but it's beneath. You wouldn't go into the court and say, how far, judge? How far? What in the happen? You wouldn't say that. You wouldn't be like, yeah, wagwan, judge, in it. Well, actually, people would do that. But, you wouldn't expect your lawyer to be like, you get me, my honor. So this man here, yeah, he's been charging it for some offences. Like, let's try and get him off. You're not. That's not what you're going to be expecting, right? You're going to be expecting to say, my honor, my learned friend, I am representing this defendant for the crimes. Do you see what I'm saying, right? You're expecting your lawyer to speak a certain type of English and jargon to get you off or to represent you, or et cetera. So if he said we tend to strip it down to its basics and just make it very clear, simple. Some people will still have an issue with the word simple, because simple, again, sounds like you're trying to say that we are not intelligent enough to understand complex subjects, right? But if he said, I'm using clear jargon to communicate effectively how to be financially free, because some of the audience that I am targeting, have poor financial literacy. Now, but people still get offended. This is the thing about the internet. The internet doesn't rest. People will get offended by that. There'll be people that will feel that that's offensive. I don't find it offensive. I think that's, you know, in marketing, you're taught to be quite clear and to be simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Make it very simple. You're tired, you're frustrated. You're tired, you're frustrated in this rat race, right? You're tired of your 9 to 5. You want to find another way, but a way that doesn't make you work harder, but makes you work smarter, right? I'm not saying something more complicated, like I'm trying to think of a complicated way of doing that. Going to work every single day is a chore. Okay, that's still quite simple. That's just quite a good one. Going to work every day is a chore. You get up, you wake up, you go to work, you come back, you get up, you wake up. But that's simple. Maybe it's I've got a lot of knowledge, experience in marketing, so probably it's hard for me to think about being complicated. But there's ways of being complicated that people will not understand. Okay, for example, if I'm speaking to a therapist, me and a therapist will speak very differently if I'm speaking to a non-therapist, because I'm not going to use the same words to describe the same phenomena, because you would not understand it. I'm using jargon related to psychotherapy or my particular modality in psychotherapy. So, for example, when I do a lot of interviews and podcasts and they say, explain to me mental health. And I'll say, okay, very simply, mental health is how you feel about yourself, how you feel others feel about you, and how you are in relation to the world. To me, that's very simple. Now, if I was talking to maybe a more learned audience, so mental health practitioners or psychotherapy, people that are in the field and understand, and we'll talk about, mental health is the overall well-being of a person that is functioning well in society, contributing back. You know, there's more things that I would say. Like it'll be more of a paragraph. We'll talk about more things. All right. I'm able to do that because there's a basis of understanding there already. So it's about the audience that you're going to. But I think where people are offended, I'm not offended, but where I can see people are offended is you said street language. So, but I don't think his videos are like, yo, yo, yo. You know, he's not pandering to black audiences in that way. He's not trying to use slang, but he says street. So people would be offended by that, because what you're trying to say, like, there are black people, a large percentage of black people, especially black women, who are overqualified in many instances, that can understand big English, yeah? So you don't need to dumb it down, right? But there is a proportion of the black community that is illiterate, unfortunately, because of the school system and many other factors that contribute to that. So then he said, what did he say? Let's play it again, because I think it will be good to play it again just to specifically talk about what he said, so I can really.
There's a 10 times better chance, 10x, that the black kid knows me. Now, the reason is because we go after that audience and we're talking to them in very street terms, if you would.
Very street terms, yeah? I already made reference to that. Very street terms. Probably what he meant to say, but I can't assume that. So what I would have said is without jargon. Clear, straightforward, precise. Hit them at their pain point, right? They meaning hit them where it hurts. Hit them what they're desiring. You want money because you ain't got money, essentially, right? But when you're in these type of interviews, sometimes you're being interviewed so many times. Sometimes you're not actually as good of a speaker when you're being interviewed, unless you're really prepared for the questions. We don't know if you was prepared beforehand. You know, sometimes when you're really comfortable, you know, you say things shorthand in a certain way that then can be offensive to others, and you're not meaning to, but because you're saying it in shorthand, you're not overly thinking about every single word that you say.
Not big nomenclature, vocabularies, you know, we just keep everything very tight and simple. And
not big nomenclature. I came to try to understand what he meant by nomenclature, a set or systems of names or terms as those used in a particular. I don't know what that means. I don't know what he means by nomenclature. So even that word, I don't know. Does it fit the sentence? Because it's about assigning of names. It's about names of systems. So maybe really what he's trying to say is that he's not using jargon. He speaks directly, straight to the point, to the predominantly black audience, right? So I can see how people will be offended by that and assume what he's basically saying is that black people are stupid. I can see how people can be offended by that. And there is an element that could be potentially the case. It could be that, unfortunately, a lot of these rich men actually do believe that, but they target us because they say that black people, the money, the dollar, the pound don't stay in our hands long, but they stay longer in other cultures. So we're not the only people that know that. As a black person, I'm sure Asian people are aware of that, and I'm sure white people are aware of that. Therefore, it's manipulated when it comes to business. You have to understand that when you're trying to make money as a business, right, you end up stratifying people. So, for example, there's a way of targeting people's earning potential. Yeah, not in every country, but in some countries you're able to target that if that evidence, if that data is available. So a lot of people are cut off. You go to the top percentile, the top 3 percentiles of people making 50K or more. So that means majority of people are already cut off from that, right? So a person is only targeting that group of people. Where I think a lot of people have issues with, and this is a thing even in the UK. There's a few there's some black coaches that I don't know. There's been things being said about they target the black community. They are black themselves, but the amount that they charge, knowing that the community they are targeting can't afford it. I don't know. It's hard because it's like within UK black community, there's all types of different subcultures, and there's obviously all types of different classes in that sense, and all types of different groups of people within that can afford maybe a 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K, 10K, 15K program, and others can't. But generally speaking, you might say, yeah, the black, a lot of black people can't afford it. And the work that I do within therapy, I can say that some black people can't even afford £120 a month on their mental health. They will literally come into get assessed, say commit, get matched, and only do a month because they say finances. And it's shocking because you think, wow, you can't. You've had enough time. You've waited a few weeks, essentially, sometimes even longer, to be matched. You've not started saving up. You're not doing things to put yourself in a position where you can say, irrespective of what's going on, at least for 3 months, at least for 6 months, I can financially support myself in therapy because I need it. So you have to weigh up things. We need more research in this area. I think we need research in a lot of different things because I think what we do is we use anecdotes, right? That's why I've said there's different groups. So I would rather say that there are different groups that say X, Y, Z rather than generally say black people are this. So there's stereotypes that we can even agree comes from some sort of truth, right? I know people. Let me just say I know. I don't think I actually know, but I've met people who, if I even speak to them, they're like, "Bruv, I don't understand what you're saying." I'm like, "Wait, mate, I don't understand how you don't understand. How do you not understand what I'm saying? I'm not speaking even the Queen's English, mate. I'm just speaking basic English." So, yeah, I thought it's interesting. Do I think Grant Cardone is racist? I need more evidence. I would need more evidence to purport that statement, right? I would need more evidence to actually say that he is or is not racist. But what I can say is that what that clip, right, that I played to you suggests is that he feels that he's generally speaking, he feels that the black audience needs to be, the information to the black audience needs to be dumbed down. And I think that's indicative of racial stereotyping. There's truth in that. The reality is we understand the issues in our community. We can't act like there isn't people in the community that are illiterate, that can't understand certain basic concepts because of many factors. He's not his job to then say the socioeconomic factors, racism, or that's not his job. He's here to make money and help you make money, right? However, I think when you hear that, for me and for others, I think one has to realize that a lot of these people, even white or black, Asian, whatever, are exploiting weaknesses within our community and many other communities, right? there's been a lot of talk about a lot of these gurus, so-called, manosphere gurus, are exploiting the loneliness and the anger and the rage and the frustration and all of these different types of stuff, emotions from young men who feel isolated, who feel alone. And you've got gurus telling you, I can help you get laid, I can help you get girls. And they themselves are lame. They've just learned how to use the system and make them appear a bit better than you. And by the time the 50th person has paid them, they are now better than you because they're making more money. But at the time that they were talking, they were faking till they make it. A lot of gurus fake it till they make it. And then it's only when you're the 100th person that's now met this guru, it feels like they are what they say they are, because at that time, that current time they are. But when they first started, they faked it till they made it, right? So I think it's important to recognize that, unfortunately, in the coaching industry, a lot of coaches, a lot of mentors, a lot of people, because the industry is not regulated, anyone can call themselves a coach, are exploiting the weaknesses and vulnerabilities of people and making money and leaving people in a situation maybe far worse than they were before. So I hope you've enjoyed that topic. Tell me your thoughts. What do you feel like? What is your opinion, and how do you feel, about what Grant Cardone says? Do you think that indicates that he's racist? Do you think that, no, he was just explaining marketing. He was just explaining how he markets to a different group. It's not straightforward. He's not being rude. He's saying that he's saying what all good marketers would do: make it simple. Or you just don't really care, you're indifferent to it. Let me know your comments below. Let's chat it up, because I think that 5 Black people are going to have 5 different opinions, which I think quite interesting, right? Which is amazing. Okay, so on to the next topic. Similar, but it's a white woman now talking about her experience. And I just thought it'd be interesting. Maybe I can give some psychological things out here. I haven't watched the video for a while, so I'm probably going to be a bit rusty, but I kind of wanted to just do a straight review, like I haven't watched it before. So
I have a theory about why Black women and white women are having such a hard time getting along, and it starts with a story. When I first started teaching, I was in a teacher training program with 3 other women. 2 of them were Black and 1 of them was Indian, and we started teaching at the same school, the same grade, at the same time. One of these women, a Black woman, completely excelled. She did so much better than I did at literally everything. Classroom management, her test scores were high. She was excellent at literally everything. And something about her excellence didn't sit right with me. I just didn't feel good about it, and I couldn't figure out why I didn't feel good about it. It was internalized racism, but I didn't know that yet. So I had to sit with this idea of her being better than me and trying to figure out why it didn't feel good and feel comfortable for me. And of course, at the time, I didn't know that I needed to do the work of anti-racism, so I didn't think it was possibly because I could have internalized racism. I had to do a lot of study and thought about myself and what could possibly be making me feel this way about this woman. And here's what I discovered. Most of the media that I had consumed up to that point in my life had white people as the central characters. And the shows and other media that I consumed that had white women at the central characters often had Black women as the side characters. These Black women's role in these movies was to assist the white women, support the white women, advise the white women, but never to rise above the white women. Even shows that were about Black women, like The Help, had white women as the central character and the Black women as supporting characters. So I internalized the idea that Black women were there to support me and to advise me, but not to rise above or become better than me. And that's why when this Black teacher was way better and more talented than me, I felt some kind of way about it. Now, I'd imagine lots and lots more white women have also internalized the same idea, and that's why they feel okay stealing Black women's content and not giving them any credit, because the Black women are just there to advise them anyway. But most Black women are natural leaders. Society has forced them to become leaders. And so we need to step aside and let them lead. even if it means checking our privilege and letting them lead us.
Some of these videos make me cringe. I don't know. I don't. Some of these videos do make me cringe personally. Yeah. Okay. So let me say, she did a lot of stuff. So I could be wrong. So please correct me in the comments. Correct me in the comments, but I presume that internalized racism is for people of the subordinate group, the group that has been oppressed, the subjugated group. So the idea of internalized racism is that because of the racial stratification of society and the negative stereotypes attached to this group, you internalize that, and you can also even begin to act out on that violently, or act out in that in terms of, I guess, what we call that, reinforcing the stereotypes that are attached to Black people. I'm not sure if the word internalized racism aptly describes her experience. The phenomenon that she's saying, it to me is not correct, but I could be wrong. Maybe we can use internalized racism just generally speaking about unconscious processes. I think what she is describing is racism, but the psychology behind that is the fact that she had also projective identification. What that basically means is that she projected inferiority upon this Black individual. Usually it takes two to make it identification. So usually what would happen, that let's take this example out. A white person projects inferiority towards a Black person. The Black person then believes that and acts inferior. That is projective identification, right? So let me just probably say projection. Projection is when she just projects inferiority onto that person. Now, you see the word I said, she projects inferiority, meaning it comes from her originally. It originates within the projector, and then the person that identifies it receives it because they themselves maybe have some sort of insecurity that links with that. In this case, it doesn't sound like the Black woman felt inferior. She knew she had all of the good stuff, right? So I think I would say that in this case, she projected. It's not internalized racism. That's what a lot of racism is. It's a projection. Racism, to me, exists to uphold power, greed, and pride. Yeah. But within that, the psychology of that is the fact that I believe a lot of white people, when they came to Africa, were amazed and they got scared. They felt threatened, and they realized that, whoa, if these people cottoned on, they will be powerful. I don't mean because we are better than white people. I just mean that if you go to another country and you feel threatened by that country, you go to another person, you feel threatened by that person. If you're manipulative and evil to a degree, you're going to think about ways of controlling that person and putting them down. That is racism. That is what occurred. That's essentially what slavery is, right? That's essentially what slavery is. The idea that you subjugated a group of people and made them believe that they were inferior, and you believed they were inferior because you were afraid of their superiority. You were afraid of their greatness. You felt inferior within yourself, so you projected it outside, right, onto the other. That's what she did, because as she did say, media and what she's going up around has always shown her that Black women specifically are always the supporting role. They are never the lead. So when you then meet a person who is a natural born leader, it irks you the wrong way, because what that means is, for her, she has to consider stepping down. She has to basically face and confront that though she is good, there is somebody better. Not only is this person better than her, this person is Black with a different race, and she is not what she has seen all her life growing up, what everyone has seen. And she has to confront that, which is a good thing. I just don't think it's called internalized racism. And then this whole Black women are naturally born leaders. I don't know. I feel like that's pandering. I get concerned when allies do that, because I feel like you don't have to prop us up to prop you down. You don't have to prop us up too much. Like, just be like, she was a born leader. I'm not saying Black women are not natural born leaders. I think not everybody can be a leader. No, I don't think Black women are naturally born leaders. Majority, no. I think that there are groups of people that are born leaders in communities and they're not. Some people have to be followers. Nothing wrong with a follower, or let's say supporter. To lead, you have to follow. You cannot lead on your own. I can't lead nobody. I have to lead somebody. So by definition, being the follower, actually, the first follower is usually the most important anyways. So I don't like that bit. I just find that that's pandering. I find that a little bit. I find it's basically a reverse projection. She is projecting her. Yeah, she's projecting. She feels inferior now, or she's recognizing that she's not as great as she thought she is. She's now seeing the greatness of Black people and telling us we're amazing. No, darling, you are amazing in your own right. Black people are amazing in their own right, and you didn't need to end it with that personally. And then we should step down from our privilege. But most likely not. No, not really. People are not going to step down from their privilege. Maybe that's a good suggestion to say. Just think it's unrealistic. It sounds good. You know, my issue is that that's going to go around, and a lot of Black people are going to like it and say, yeah. And it's like, come on, really. Unless my girl is telling me that she's given up her promotion, she gets promoted, she goes, you know what? There's this Black woman who's better for it. Yeah, people are not doing that because rightly so, you're working hard and you feel you deserve the promotion. It's different if you know you're just not working hard and, you know, you're just getting it because, and whatever that is because you're sleeping with the boss, because you're friends with the boss, because you're just getting it, right? If you've worked hard, then you deserve the promotion, right? Who are you to determine that because the person is Black, she should get it just because she's Black? Find that very offensive. Now, as somebody who works in this space and wants Black women to excel and lead, and I believe we can, for those that are called to and those that can and are able to, please don't give me position because I'm Black. Now, that's another conversation about affirmative action that we can discuss. But I just think in principle, give it to me because I am damn good. And yeah, I'm also Black, and maybe because you need more Black people. I don't mind that. But not because I'm Black, bruv. Nope. So yeah, I find that video quite cringy. I don't like videos like that because I think that to me, she was saying amazing things about us, but then there's, to me, a implicit message. Yeah, I feel like the message that I get that is implicit, that's unconscious, that's, you know, is we need to, I don't know, there's something about it that irks me the wrong way. I don't like that this whole, you know, Black women, you're naturally born leaders and you're so amazing, you're so great. I just find it very weird. I find it like you're overcompensating for your racist, your previous racist beliefs. Look, you're a racist. You had racist attitudes. It's what it is. Like, you've acknowledged it. You're learning to not be that way. You're moving on. Like, you ain't got to do a whole video telling me, oh, Black people, you are amazing. I want you to know that majority of you, actually, you are all amazing. And many of us white people just don't like that. Now, maybe that is the case, but oh, I heard the sound. So I was like, oh, is that a comment or something? Let me say. Okay, don't know what that was. Don't know what that was. Yeah? Let me know your thoughts, though. Am I overreacting? I don't think I'm overreacting because I don't think I've overreacted. I just think that I think she used the wrong terminology to express the phenomenon, which is fine. I don't expect her to know the right thing to say. But I think internalized racism, I believe, and I suspect it is to do with the group of people that is oppressed. So I can carry internalized racism because maybe I feel that, you know, Black women were angry, right? So you have a lot of Black women that will kind of jump onto this whole thing that Black women are always angry. So she'll be like, I'm not like these Black people, I'm not like these Black women that are angry. And it's like, like, what are you doing? What do you like, you know, what are you saying? What are you trying to say? You're trying to say Black women are just angry. So that's internalized racism. What she talked about was projection. Racism. It was just racism. And you projected. Let's get the terminology correct, please, so we have a good, wider conversation about this. Secondly, please don't pander to us. I don't think it's cute. We don't need to be pandered. Call it how it is. Some Black women will like it, but for many of us, we just see. And I don't think she's doing it intentionally. There are white women who are like that. They meet a Black person and they start telling me, you're so wonderful and amazing. I find that weird, bruv. Because to me, you know what it is? You're not addressing me on my own merit. What you are doing is that you've awakened to Black greatness, because we are great and white people are great. Well, you know, we're all great. But you've awakened to like, wow, Black girls, Black women, Black people are great. Then instead of just taking me for what I am, I could be good. I could be a good Black woman. Listen to this. I could be a good Black CEO, but there's other Black CEOs that are not good. But because you meet a Black person, you're overcompensating for the fact that maybe you were racist, and you're like, you're amazing. It's like, no, this person is crap at their job, bruv. black or white, they're just crap at their job. I don't understand why you're telling this person. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So, but then I always believe that people go to different extremes before they come to the middle. So she needs to go to another extreme that black people are this and that, and we are like the best thing since sliced bread. Until then, she just sees us for what we are. There are black people that are amazing leaders, black people that are not. Point blank period. Why? Because look at Africa, bruv. So to be saying that black women are naturally born later, you're also basically saying that black women should lead with the head of the households. A lot of people are like, no, we don't want to be that. We want to be the wife that submits to her husband. So you see all of these things in that. It sounds good, in it? The rhetoric, you're in an echo chamber. That's like, yeah. Then when you put it out in public, people are like, bruv, who told you that though? Say some black people though. Don't put us in like, oh, because not all of us will be agreeing with the things you're saying, which is fine. But anyways, I just want to share my point. You know, I think that I don't like videos like that. I just don't think they're helpful, to be fair. In one hand, and I think they're helpful to share that I think a lot of white people need to be honest that they envy us, they're jealous, they have internalized racism. No, they project, bruv. Not just black people, Asians, bruv, bare cultures, bruv. Have racial stereotypes about black people. When they meet a black person who undergirds or confronts or basically is not any of their stereotype, they're in shock. They don't know what to say. They are bamboozled because they're like, rah, you're not anything that I expect. It's like, well, we're duh. Black people are not homogenous. We're not a monolith. There's heterogeneity in black people. Like, duh. You can't put all people and think we think the same, act the same, look the same, is the same, bruh. Yeah. It's the fact that every single person's got a different DNA. Why do we assume that even people from the same racial group are the same? I get that there are generalities, there are stereotypes come from truth. We get that. You know what I mean? We do black jokes and we understand that, look, African parents are like that. We could all bust up, but there's also differences and individual differences and societal differences and regional differences that we've got to take into account. Which I think is important. So yeah, thank you, whoever your name is, whatever her name is, that did this video, because I think it's brought up a very interesting conversation that, you know, some of our white counterparts, you know, might envy us when we excel. And part of the reason why sometimes we're not moving forward where we should be moving forward is that they don't want us to. They just don't want us to. They are protecting the status quo because when I say who, why would they want black men, black women, people of color to have the same equal power the same equal power? And I don't mean white people in general. I'm saying those white people that are protecting the status quo. Why would they want that? They don't want that. They want people that look like them, that believe that think like them. They want that group think, right? There's a group think. They want that. They want to maintain that. So there you go. So like, share, subscribe. And yeah, join me in the next video. And thank you for those that have joined the live and have commented, and those that will catch the replay. Let me know what you think. You know, I could be wrong, I could be mistaken. You know what I mean? You might have a different opinion than me. It's all good. It's all good in the hood. Me like that. And I'll catch you in the next video. Catch me in the next video. Yeah.